Blessed greetings, each and every one of you. Blessed greetings. I want to say a blessed day to each and every one of you. I hope every one of you is having a wonderful day. Be safe out there where you are. You know, with this pandemic going on and whatever the weather may be. For instance, here in Connecticut, it's snowing. You know, I don't really know how many inches we're supposed to get. But, yeah, so today, this program here is going to be about hypnosis before therapy. Hypnosis, in other words, being hypnotized before therapy. I mean, before surgery, sorry, excuse me. And before I start, I want to say that, you know, no matter, give me 1 second. I'm sorry about that. But yes, so this one here is about it's basically a interview hosted by a good friend of mine, Rula Brown, and he's and another friend of mine who he's interviewing called Keith Anthony, who happens to be a hypnotherapist. And yeah, so before I start this one, I want to make sure that I do say that I am not a doctor. And I don't want anyone to take anything that they see or hear on any one of my contents or any one of my programs. I don't want them to just take it from me or from what they hear or see. I want them to do their own research. Go seek medical professions before you take things in your own hand. But above all, seek God first in all that you do, and then, you know, seek medical professions, you know, whether it be pharmaceutically or holistically, but, you know, do your research and know your things. So I'm just gonna let this play, and you guys can comment down below, and you know, I'll be jumping in and out as you know it permits. So enjoy the program and kick back and learn something.
There. How are you doing, Sir Keith Anthony?
I'm doing fabulous. How's my sound?
Your sound is good, man. Last week, when I had you through Skype, somehow the meter I was looking at was giving me some different information. But when I listened back to the tape, everything was perfect. So yeah, you're good, man. You're good as gold. First of all, how you doing? Because I know I got a text from you earlier in the week that you experienced something there, and I just wasn't sure what to make of it. So how are you doing as far as that is concerned? I don't know if I should say it, but if you feel like saying it, we'll have you go ahead and say it. Go ahead.
I'm not quite sure. It says I had some problems with my health earlier on last week. Is that what you mean?
Yes, but I didn't want to say it. So if you feel comfortable in going ahead and saying, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I was last Friday. I was unconscious for 18 hours.
Wow.
Because I have seizures, and people tend to think that when you have epilepsy, you have a seizure, and then you immediately wake up. But I don't. I'm unconscious for 18 hours, and I have on occasions been unconscious for up to 3 days. Fortunately, I haven't done that lately, but last Friday I was unconscious for 18 hours.
So this is something that's basically that basically you experience from time to time, correct?
Yes.
Is this as a result of the bad injury you had 30 years ago, head injury you had 30 years ago?
36 years ago,
36
bad head injury, yes.
Wow. So what is that process though? I mean, you were there watching TV, or you were active doing something, and then you passed out, you had the seizure. Can you describe what really happened?
I get, fortunately, I get seizures when I'm asleep. So I go to sleep, and then I have a seizure when I'm asleep, and I get the muscular spasms, and I can injure myself sometimes and bite my tongue and break bones sometimes, that kind of thing. And then I wake up a long time later and very exhausted.
Now, when you're in that particular mode, you say you're sleeping, you're there watching a TV, and sometimes we fall off asleep. While you're sleeping, you have no clue as to what is going on. Am I correct?
That's right. Not until I wake up.
Not until you wake up. But
Yeah.
waking up could mean 18 hours later or 3 days later, correct?
Yes.
Then
I was in a position over the weekend that I got to Monday,
Mhm.
and I was thinking Monday.
Oh, you missed out some days.
And I'm getting to church, and I'm thinking the roads are really busy. Not realizing it's Monday.
It's Monday.
I was thinking it was Sunday.
Wow. That is scary.
Yeah, it's like you've gone into a time loop, or you think it's a bit disorienting, because you think it's Sunday, but it's actually Monday, and you can't quite work out what's going on.
Wow. So I presume you have no one there at home with you. It's just a matter of, 18 hours later when you woke up and you started just and you realized, wow. So you didn't look at, wow. That's mad. Man.
Mad, yes.
Yeah.
So okay. So you're back out of it. Do you have to go to the hospital? Do I look a checkup to make sure you're okay or anything? What happens as far as that process is concerned?
No, I don't do that. The hospital doesn't care. They don't take you seriously. The thing about people who've got head injuries, it's universally known that the hospital just doesn't care about you. When you go to medical school,
mm-hmm.
the doctors they do half an hour of study about brain injuries. That's their total study time for brain injuries.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're not interested. They don't care. They're not worried.
Well, I'm sure there are specialists. If you were to be in an acute critical situation or condition, they'll get a specialist who don't just take 3 hours of studies to really look at you and make some strong determination as to what they have to do.
I don't think that's what he's saying.
Well, you'd think so, but no, that's not true.
That's not true.
They do very little study about the after effects of traumatic brain injury.
They do.
Once you've left the hospital, they wash their hands. Right. They're not interested in the after effects. They're just not interested. They just don't bother to study it. That they think they think you're just a baby and you're looking for attention.
Wow.
And they think you're making it up. And if I go to my doctor and say, look, I've been unconscious for 18 hours, they take the view you're just being lazy and pull yourself together.
No, but what I'm saying though, it seemed like for oneself, for an individual, to really be concerned about a condition like that, you would tend to think the very first thing you'd want to do is to go to the doctor, make sure there's no lack of oxygen that's missing from the brain or something, you know. And I understand it's something that you've gone through over and over, so maybe you said to yourself, there's no need for me to go to any doctor. But if I were to be here and I get knocked out and even missing out for 6 hours, even 3 hours, you know, the first thing me I go at the doctor. So,
well, I understand what you're saying, but I've been doing this for 36 years,
right.
And along with all my friends I know who've been doing similar things, we've all discovered that there's nobody who listens. And Toronto Queen is saying, would your doctor not recommend a neurologist?
Good point.
No. The doctors, the neurologists. I'm going to see my neurologist in October, October the 14th. It's a total waste of time because when I get to see my neurologist, I will be in there for less than 5 minutes, and he's a total dickwad. He's a waste of space. He's just not interested. You know, you see that when I walk in, he rubs his forehead, he rolls his eyes. Oh, it's you again, you know, and he can't wait to get me out of his room. He's just all he wants me in there for is so that he can sign his form to say that he's had me there. And he's got me out so he can get his wages. That's all he's interested in.
What a dickwad.
What a dickwad.
He's an awful dickwad. Man, I don't believe it.
All he gets me in there for is so he can sign his form to say that he's had me in, he's had me out, he's had me in, he's got me out, he earns his wages. That's all he's got to do.
All right, folks.
And keep in mind that we go to the doctor to get well. But most doctors see us to get wealthy. Just a little something to think about.
Interested in listening to my condition.
Okay.
He's just a paper pusher.
All right, folks, if you look on the screen on the Ustream monitor, you'll see the photograph of Mr. Keith Anthony, the person speaking from outer London there. All right, continue. So your dickwad wants to get you out of the room. So there's nothing you can do. I mean, look, man, if it were I, and I understand you've been going through this for 36 years, so probably you said to yourself, you know what they're going to do. What would you say then for someone who, not to your extreme, someone who has gone through something like that, and they've gone to the doctor 1 or 2 times, but you go back to him the 3rd time? What would you suggest that one do regarding if you get a reaction like that? And I know you're over there in England, but in general, if you want to make a generic response to that question.
I haven't got an answer. I can't tell them what to do.
Right.
The only thing that I might suggest would be to seek alternative therapy.
Right.
Maybe go to an alternative therapist, perhaps a hypnotherapist. You wouldn't be going too far wrong if you came to me. I mean, because a few days ago, and I can't talk about my clients except in this case because I have her permission.
Right.
And we will probably be talking about her later on. And because she has documented it herself on Facebook, I saw a lady who is a former rock star in Hollywood rock star. And she was that way until, unfortunately, somebody drove up the back of her car and crippled her. And she's a lovely lady. And I contacted her a few days ago because I hadn't heard from her for a long time. And I didn't know that she was in a lot of pain. And she's going to be having a hysterectomy next week. And she's also got, I can't pronounce it, scoliosis, I think it's called. scoliosis, which is a problem with the spine.
No, scoliosis.
Scoliosis, that's
right.
it, yes. And her chin was on her chest, which is a painful condition of the spine. And I work with her using hypnosis, which when you come down to the basics of it is I'm just talking to her, you know. Now, if you compare what I'm doing, just talking to her, and you compare modern medicine, you know, surgeons and doctors and brain surgeons and things, all I did, she's been like this for a long time, but I only discovered it a couple of days ago, and I just talked to her for half an hour or so, and the pain stopped, and she was able to raise her chin from her chest, where it's been for a long time. She was able to straighten her neck. And all I did was thank you, Toronto Queens, scoliosis and medical condition in which a person's spine is curved from side to side. In her case, it was curved straight down, so her chin was on her chest. And it's a very uncomfortable condition. And I was able to help her straighten it. And all I was doing was talking, and also she's a spiritual woman, and I'm a spiritual person as well, and that may have had some influence. So
wait a minute now. This lady, she has a scoliosis.
Yes.
The curvature of her spine, which was created a downward from her neck, so her head as her chin was touching. Don't know. How long has she had this condition? Well, scoliosis generally comes on with time, but I mean, how long has she had this severe condition?
I don't know how long she's had it, but
wouldn't that be one of the questions you'd want to ask her if you're dialoguing with her?
I didn't ask her. It
didn't occur at the time.
It didn't seem relevant. What was important was that I needed to mend it.
Right.
And so that's what I did.
Okay, so you're saying then you're there, you're in this session with her.
Yes.
And for how long was that session?
I spent perhaps an hour.
An hour. No.
Yes.
So what kind of measure? You knew that initially her chin was touching on her breast, and after the hour, you noticed what? Was it a matter of you noticing how far her chin was away from her breast? Did you take measurements? Was you able to move her neck, her head up and down? How were you able to determine the success?
This was done on Skype. No, this was on camera.
Oh, this was on Skype.
And she was. It wasn't perfect. It was definitely improved because her head was coming up much higher than it was before. And also she was telling me, and she's written this on. You can see it on my profile on my timeline on Facebook. She's put it there, and on my blog she's put it. You can see that she's saying the pain in her in her cervix. Is it cervix?
Cervix. Yeah, go ahead.
It has stopped. Because she's having a hysterectomy next week because of the pain in her cervix. Am I getting the right term here? Cervix?
No, that's the wrong term.
No, not cervix. In her uterus.
Yeah.
Pain in the uterus.
Wow.
Was greatly improved, if not stopped, I think. And the reason she's having the hysterectomy is because of the pain in the uterus.
Now, my question, how did she first come to know about you and the service that you provide?
Well, I was introduced to her over a year ago by somebody in Australia who was introduced to me by somebody else, and because I was introduced. You know, it's a funny thing, the internet. You know, you get introduced to people, don't you? I was introduced to somebody in Australia who knew this lady in America. He introduced me to her because he thought I might be able to help her, and she was doing a radio show. So I joined the radio show, and she was in pain on that radio show. So I I did hypnosis on her during the radio show because she was in a lot of pain with her spine because of this traffic accident. And I stopped the pain in her spine. And that was over a year ago. And I was wondering about her. I wondered how she was getting on. So I contacted her to just see how she was doing. And she told me she was in a lot of pain with the uterus and told me that she had the scoliosis. And so I said I would help her.
No. The point of you doing that work on her through Skype to correct her condition.
Yes.
Had it ever dawned on her that before she spoke with you, she could have gotten that help somewhere else? I mean, and for you to have actually done that type of correction, it seems as though it's something that you should have gotten out there, written up, so that folks can realize that, hey, certain conditions that you can't get cured with the traditional doctor, here are some alternative ways one can go about it. Have you ever looked into that? Because that sounds like quite an accomplishment. And the question is, you don't have to reveal us your secrets as to how you conduct your hypnosis with her, but was it something different you had to do with this particular person?
It's no secret that the what I do is partly hypnosis and partly spiritual, and the techniques that I use are how can I put this? I do things that come to me naturally. I haven't been taught them by anybody. I just do them. But at the same time, there are hypnotists all over the planet who are doing exactly the same thing, either because they've been taught them or they've read them from the books, or in some cases, they come naturally. There are many ways to skin a cat, as they say.
Yeah.
The techniques that I use, they just very much came to me naturally, because many people told me I was a hypnotist long before I realized I was a hypnotist. I thought that they were taking the mickey out of me, and I thought they were saying that I was boring and I was putting them to sleep and stuff, and just boring them. But boredom is one of the classic methods of putting somebody into a trance. But I started asking people, what do you mean, in actual fact, when you say I'm a hypnotist? And they started saying to me, well, you make me feel calm and relaxed and peaceful, and you always make me feel motivated, and you always make me feel or make me see things differently. So I started reading some books on self-help and reading books on hypnosis. And when I read those books, I didn't learn much. I thought, well, this is what I'm doing already.
Right.
So I thought, well, let's actually deliberately start, thinking more about doing this stuff. And I, a lot of what I do because of my experiences of, because I passed through death when I was very sick back in 1978, and seen things that most of us don't get to see and come back and talk about. So I'm able to do what is commonly known as mesmerism, which is how can I explain this? Which is the oldest form of, or many would say the purest form of hypnosis. And this is more an energy kind of a thing. Mesmerism, with hypnosis, it's a lot to do with with words, but with mesmerism, it's more about thinking and the use of the eyes. Because a lot of people tell me that my eyes and the way I look at you is very intense.
So you mesmerize people with the eyes, and you put them into that trance feel, so they feel, wow, I'm in a different mode and so forth.
Apparently so, yes.
All right, mesmerism. All right.
This is nothing that I've ever been taught. It's just something that I seem to be able to do naturally, because I've got a very great awareness that we have two parts. We have a physical body, and we have a spiritual body.
Right.
And I very much identify with my spiritual body, and I just allow my when I'm working with people, I just discount my physical body. I just let it dissolve, and I focus on my spiritual body when I work with people. And thank you, Anon, for that comment.
All right, I tell you what, Keith, listeners, we're speaking to Sir Keith Anthony live out of Croydon, England, and he's giving us an overview of an experience he just had with a client, and also he's talking about mesmerism and some definitions. It's 3 minutes on the upside of 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 3 minutes on the upside of 4 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time. Let me take you back to client X that you started off at the outset. James. This James in Scotland, and in the chat room I passed on that message. A number of people in the chat room were probably in the background trying to get back in. They got kicked out, so we see people have to come back in the form of a number or something. Let me take you back to this particular client that you started off with. With that client, when you first met with her on Skype and you realized her condition, did you say to her, or the question is, what did you say to her? Did you say to her, look, I'm going to help you with that condition you have? Did you say that? And was she skeptical? Because she might want to say, wow, you can help me with that problem. You know, and I've had this for X amount of years. I know you don't know how long she had it for, but what did you tell her? Because if you're somebody who's going to try and give me some help, I'm going to be asking a whole bunch of questions for starts. So
no, she wasn't skeptical, because I'd helped her before.
You had helped her before,
and she was in pain, and she wanted the pain to stop, of course.
Right.
And she wanted to be more comfortable. So I just said to her, would you like me to help you with that condition? But wait
a minute. But before, did you not realize she had that scoliosis where her chin was touching her breast, her chest?
I didn't, because at first I was just texting with Skype. I was just typing. I was just saying,
gotcha,
how are you? And so we were just chatting away, and she was telling me what was going on. And she was telling me that things were bad, and I said, well, we really need to do something about that. Don't you agree? And she said, yes, I do agree. And I said, well, we need to hit it up on Skype then, don't we? And so we did that. We got it up on Skype, and we took it from there. And I didn't say to her, we're going to try to fix that. I said, we're going to fix that.
Okay.
Because when I'm talking to people, I never say we're going to try to fix this. I say we're going to fix this.
In the affirmative.
I'm very definite about this.
Right.
And because people don't need me to try, they need me to fix things.
Yeah, they want results. Yeah.
You don't take your car to the mechanic and say, can you try to fix it? You take your car to the mechanic and say, I want you to fix this.
Indeed. All right, Keith, it's 11 o'clock. We have another hour. Clinton Lindsay comes up at 12 o'clock. So Keith, we have a question that came in on text on the phone from Virginia.
Yeah.
And the person wrote, does he sleep while he's sleeping? No, I think does he dream when he's not that old in his condition like narcolepsy? Does he fall out or does he have to be asleep first? I'm not sure if you get that. You know, sometimes when folks are texting this stuff, though, really come through the way it should. But I'm not sure if you get she's asking, does he sleep when he's not that old in his condition like narcolepsy? Does he fall out or does he have to be asleep first? If you can make anything of that and you want to.
I think they're talking about when I have my seizures.
Yeah.
When I have my seizures, I'm asleep.
Yeah, right. You're asleep.
So I go to sleep. You know, if I'm sitting in a chair and I go to sleep, or if I'm laying down and I go to sleep, then once I'm asleep, that's when I have my seizures. You know, so when I'm having the seizures, that then I might fall out of the chair, I might fall out of the bed, and you know, I'll wake up and I'll find the pillows are in one corner of the room and the bedclothes are on the other corner of the room. Whoa. And I might be on the floor, and you know, I might be very cold if it's a cold night because I'll be laying there without any covers on me sometimes.
All right.
And on one occasion, back in 2003, I was in agony because I badly injured my spine, and it took 9 years for me to recover from that.
Wow.
And that took from 2003 until 2012 for that pain to stop.
No, let me ask you this. A couple of questions jump to mind when you say that. You talk about pain management. And by then you're exposed to doing hypnosis, right? And if you were in pain for that long, did you ever try to reach out to other therapists to try and help you with that pain?
No, I didn't.
Interesting.
Really interesting.
All right.
I always find other therapists are reaching out to me to help them with their pain, but it seems to be a one-way street because nobody's ever there for me. But I don't mind it. It's just the way it is, and I accept that.
Yeah. All right, listeners, if you'd like to call in, we have this hookup now where if you'd like to call in and place your question to Sir Keith Anthony, you'll be able to do so. So you can call in the number 770-715-0224, 770-715-0224. Or if you have Skype, I could conference you on Skype. But if you'd like to call on the telephone, 770-715-0224, and so you can actually articulate your questions directly to him, and he'll be able to provide you with a response. Another question came and says, okay, he says, do you dream? And he says, do you believe that your condition gave you the healing powers? The conditions you have with all those pains and so forth, does it give you healing powers?
That's an interesting question. I think during my life, I've experienced a great deal of pain.
All right. We have a call coming in. We're going to see if we can pick up the call. 1 second.
Okay.
Hello, caller. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Yes. Hi. Good morning, Rula. It's so nice to tune into your show. It's really informative. But I have 2 questions for your guest.
Yeah, Keith Anthony. Keith, 1 second. Keith, can you hear?
Yes, I can.
Are you hearing the caller?
Yes.
Nice. Okay, caller, go ahead, please.
Okay, I wanted to know 2 things. Does he believe that his condition is what gives him, I don't want to say healing powers, but gives him the powers to heal others? And then my second question is, if you can heal others, why not heal yourself?
Good question. That's
that's physician heal thyself. I do some healing on myself with varying results. I did heal my back eventually. It took me 9 years to realize how to do that. And I did that with water, actually, after 9 years, because I started fasting for what was eventually 200 days. I did a 200-day fast. And when I started drinking 8 pints of water a day, the pain stopped, and it's as if I never had the injury, and the pain has never returned. So that was, I suppose, healing myself. The pain that I've had over the years, as I've been experiencing pain since I was 7 years old, because I get a lot of extremely painful migraines since I was age 7, but that's taught me the nature of pain, and because I've experienced pain, that really makes me reach out to people who are in pain, understand what pain feels like, and that helps me a lot to be able to treat other people who are in pain. So I feel the pain that I get is a blessing, because it helps me to help other people who are in pain. I find it difficult to deal with my own pain, and I've talked to a lot of people who are good at helping other people with pain. None of them can deal with their own pain. It seems to be a universal thing that none of us can deal with our own pain, but we can help everybody else.
No.
Caller, what is your name, by the way?
The caller dropped off. The caller was calling from Virginia. The caller didn't leave their name. So if they text me and ask me and send the name, I'll let you know. I don't know if they wanted to reveal the name.
Yes.
They said they're really enjoying the forum. They love the discussion. So if the caller wants to leave her name, I will give that to you if they text me back with the information. The question then is, you talk about the spiritual side of what you do. How much do you rely on the spirituality or the spiritual side of the work that you do? Do you tend to pray a lot and reach out to the Father to guide you and show you or open up your eyes in terms of how you deal with each unique situation?
Well, prayer. Now that's an interesting question. As regards prayer, I do pray, but I don't pray a great deal. When it comes to doing healing, when I'm with a client, I don't pray. What I do is I just, you might imagine, I just meditate. I just imagine that the universal force, the universal energy, the life force, the spirit, I just picture it in my mind, and I imagine that I'm standing in it, and that it's flowing through me, and I imagine that my client is in it. And am I making sense?
Yeah, go ahead. We're hearing you.
And I just accept that it is there. And I just imagine tuning into that. And I do believe in God, yes.
Okay, folks, when you hear Keith answer that, Tim Aldred, or Jose to James, asked the question in the chat room, do you believe in God? And that was that response. Keith has a talent. Let me just go back. There's some comments and in the chat room that let me just bring it to you. And Keith, as I mentioned them, if you'd like to comment, say pass, whatever you want to. Someone says, Canada, you have an amazing talent, Keith Anthony. I guess said that. It's James, or James said that. When you say the word, try to, implies failure. Keith has a talent that helps so many people. And this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is James, who's also a hypnotherapist in Scotland that's providing those inputs. And
yeah, I'll quickly explain that one, because James is also a hypnotherapist. When we use the word try in hypnotherapy, it does imply failure, and this is a ruse that hypnotherapists use. When we say try as a hypnotherapist, we would say, and I've said this to you, Rula, I say try to lift your hand or try to stand up. You may remember, and you couldn't stand up, could you, Rula?
No, I couldn't stand up at all.
And that's a trick. We say try,
but you know something,
which implies failure. So you couldn't stand up.
But you know something, I've tried that on somebody else and it works. So I can say, wow, I hypnotized somebody too. Yeah.
So I would never say, I'm going to try to stop your pain.
Yeah.
I would say, I'm going to stop your pain.
Right.
I'm very definite about it.
Right. Okay.
Rula's wants to ask about depression.
Yes. Okay. Earlier, Royal was here, and that's a question you hear a lot of people have concern about depression. Yes. So before you answer that, right, if you can take probably a minute to talk about the various ways people get depression and to answer the question that was asked in the chat room.
Mm-hmm. Well,
can hypnosis solve depression with somebody?
Depression can be very complex, and hypnosis can definitely cure depression, but not always. It depends on the cause of the depression. There's clinical depression. There's different types of depression, but certainly hypnosis can be very valuable for helping with depression. Mm-hmm. I would, when somebody is depressed, I would highly recommend turning to hypnotherapy as first. Now, if you go to your GP, they would highly recommend using antidepressants first because they are paid to sell and peddle drugs. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't agree with drugs. Mm-hmm. I certainly don't agree with antidepressants because they can be addictive, and I think they're very damaging, and they have lots of terrible side effects. Mm-hmm. I think that there are a lot of better ways to deal with depression than antidepressants. What we need to do with depression is to take a look at the root cause. Because quite often people get depressed, you get depressed because of circumstances. Maybe your girlfriend's just dumped you, maybe you've lost your job, maybe it's because we're coming into winter now and it's getting a bit dark and gloomy, and these things can make you a bit low. Maybe you may need to look at your diet. That can make you a bit low. It's all kinds of things can make you feel a little bit low.
All right. Royal, and for any other listeners out there, if you'd like to call in and raise a question directly to Keith, because it will create a dialogue that you can have follow-up questions back and forth, and you can get a better feel.
And dysfunctional thinking certainly can make you depressed, and quite often depression can be caused by outside influences. If you're going around with bad people, you're going to be depressed. Now, I was depressed a lot at one time, and it was because I was going around, all the people around me were bad people. They were not the kind of people I needed to be around. They were pulling me down because of their issues and their values. And when I moved away from those people, I very quickly suddenly became much, much happier. Mm-hmm. So I was depressed by other people's issues and other people's values. And my family are the worst for that. I keep away from my family because they pull me down with their values and their issues. Mm-hmm. Now I'm doing a lot of great work. I'm a very good hypnotherapist. I do radio. I'm on a radio show now. My family have never listened or taken any interest in any of my radio shows. They say, "Oh, we've told you, Keith, we're not interested. Don't tell us about it." Mm-hmm. They give me the downer, mm-hmm. and yet I'm doing fantastic stuff. I'm known all over the world, and they're not interested. So,
All right, Keith. Only thoughts.
That's the kind of thing I get.
Only thoughts here, folks. It's 15 minutes after the hour. We're going to take Keith down till about 11:30. Another 15 minutes. Remember, 12 o'clock, Clinton Lindsay comes up. If you'd like to call in, and if you have a specific question or comment or suggestion or anything, you can call us here live in the studios, 770-715-0224. And Keith is all the way over in Croydon, over there in the UK. There's 5 hours ahead of us. Currently, it's 4:15 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Keith.
And also, again, in case you're just catching it from this part, you can catch Rula Brown at RulaBrown, Rula Brown, on YouTube and on Facebook. Very good radio station, very good thing to listen to. And you know, I advise you to listen to him. I also advise you to go and check out the Brother Gary radio show. That's BROGARY. And you can find him on YouTube. Don't forget to share out and all that good stuff.
While you're touching that subject matter, someone says here in Canada, does this person caused by certain type of dysfunction? Okay, that's the one you just answered. And my question was answered. Okay, Roel said you've answered this question. Pick up the dialogue after here and go ahead and anything you want to add to what you just said.
Hello to ETT from Orlando, Florida.
Okay, the number is 770-715-0224. I'm going to put it on the, if you look in the Ustream, there's a flag there, a trailer. I'm going to put the number there. It's 770. TQ, could you please start the number in the chat room for me, please? It's 770-715-0224. That's Tahiti Tite. I was looking to to present a question. Go ahead until we get a question in, please. Go ahead, Keith.
We were going to talk about
All right, folks. So we might take it past 11:30. Highly likely we will. So you want to go ahead and introduce, give some backdrop on that particular case that you're going to talk about this?
Yes, because next Wednesday, and prayers for her if you would, that will certainly help. My friend will be going into surgery next week for hysterectomy because she has painful fibroids in her uterus. So she's going to be having a hysterectomy. So I'm going to be doing some hypnotherapy with her to make it easier for her. And the first reason I shall be doing that is to make her much more relaxed and calm as she approaches the surgery. My
first question is, how close to the time of the surgery you have to do that for it to be sustained? Because it's like you're giving her, what do you call it now? Where they go to the doctor and them kind of juke you up with a Novocaine. How close to the time of surgery you would have this recommended, I'm not sure if it's a recommended, that you would feel most comfortable, that you, go ahead.
Well, her surgery is going to be next week, Wednesday.
Right.
But I shall be doing, the first session of that will be on this week, Thursday, which is after tomorrow.
Right.
And that will be the first session. You know, the earlier I could start and the more sessions I could give her, the better it would be.
Gotcha.
But I didn't know that she was going to be having the surgery because I only spoke to her for the first time yesterday. But they're still okay because I'm not being big-headed, but I'm good at what I do.
Okay.
And that's more than enough time for me to help her.
All right, Keith, hold it thoughts here, Keith. The person who called in earlier, name is Sarah. And
Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah, Thara. And they say you're so right about the outside depression. She just making the comment about about what you said earlier about the depression. So Tahiti Tite, if you'd like to call in, the number is 770-715-0224. You can call in now. And if you allow you to say hi to Keith and ask a question. Keith, so
yes,
have you ever done this before where you've actually gone through hypnosis process with someone who's going to have surgery?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And what do you look for? What kind of results what kind of feedback you tend to look for with that client or with that patient before or after? Yeah, what is that discussion like?
Well, what I want to do is to the reason I'm doing it is to make it more comfortable for them before the surgery, and I want to make sure that they heal more quickly after the surgery, and I'm aiming also to make it easier for the surgeon, because when you have surgery done, there's a lot of bleeding, which makes it difficult for the surgeon. And with the hypnotherapy, I'm aiming to help the control of the blood. So I give suggestions for the blood to be controlled. That makes it easier for the surgeon to see what he's doing.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Do you recommend that the client disclose the information to the doctor that they've undergone some hypnosis prior to the surgery?
No, there's no need, because what might happen might be that the surgeon might say to the client, "Oh, don't be silly, hypnosis doesn't work, that's all nonsense," in which case he's going to undo all the work I've done with her.
So you're saying then, but what if what you've actually, okay, suppose you've done 4 sessions, you're going to start on Thursday, say you get a chance to put 4 sessions in with that client, and based on the work that you've done with that client, the body, the anatomy, things have changed. So when that person is starting to do the surgery, say the bleeding is cut by 80%, which means 20% bleeding that a doctor normally, don't you think that's background information he would probably want to know to understand what he's seeing? I don't know if I'm asking the right question.
Well, I understand what you're saying. What I would hope would be that what I know will happen is that, because I've given the hypnotherapy, is that the blood will be more controlled. That will make it easier for the surgeon, and that's going to be better for my clients. And after the surgery, the client is going to heal more quickly, because the other thing that's going to happen is that, because the client, although the client is unconscious during the surgery, the client is going to be calmer. That means that the anaesthetologist is going to need to use less anesthetic, which is going to support the
breathing, the blood, the pain.
No, it's going to support the I can't think of the term. The healing the immune system, the recovery system.
Okay.
Because when you use anesthetic, it suppresses the recovery system.
Right.
So that's going to be good too. And so when the client is recovering, then the surgeon would, I hope, say to my patient anything that they felt was unusual, that maybe they didn't need to use so much anesthetic, maybe they didn't need to use so much blood, and that kind of thing.
Right.
And my client might at that time divulge to the surgeon that they used hypnotherapy.
Gotcha. So,
but my aim is to give my client a better experience, and whether or not the surgeon ever knows about it, in my mind, is immaterial. I just want to give my client a better experience.
Let me see here. I think I can read it because he put it in the chat room. Royal writes, my wife had fibroids and was advised to have that surgery. She refused, and had she had the surgery, I wouldn't have a son today.
Yeah, well, I'm glad, Rule, you said that, because this lady is having this surgery, and I'm wondering, does she really need it? Because she's having it done because she's got fibroids and pain. But I worked with her yesterday for a very short time, and she was smiling and saying the pain had stopped. The only reason that they're giving her this surgery is because that's the only way they know to stop pain. And yet I stopped it in minutes. And that tells me she doesn't need to have this. This is a bigger operation she's having. And yet I stopped the pain in minutes. Now, if I can stop the pain in minutes, why is she having this major operation?
No, but so the fibroids produces general pain, and there's a growth thing there. But can the growth migrate to something else that can be dangerous? Is that what it is? And then SWA said the doctors are always quick to cut, which is true.
They are, yes. Well, there's been I work in a hospital as a volunteer, and when I'm in there, I've met a lot of patients who've had surgery, because they've been in pain. They're in there. There's physically nothing wrong with them at all, except that they've got unexplained pain. So the doctors cut nerves, to deal with this pain. They cut nerves, and the patient is still in agony. So they've had surgery to cure the pain, and they're still in pain. And yet, if they'd come to me first and I'd given them hypnotherapy, I know I could have stopped that pain, and they wouldn't have had the surgery. So they've had a serious surgery to cut major nerves, and the poor creatures are still in pain.
All right, hold it out there. Tahiti Tite wrote, before I learned about hypnotherapy, I was a very if Tahiti Tite, you want to call in? We'd love if you were to call in so we can get follow-up questions to you. But you wrote, before I learned about hypnotherapy, I was a very pliable subject. Once I learned about hypnotherapy, I became a horrible subject.
I think perhaps a better word would be gullible subject, because patients are all very gullible. We follow what the doctor tells us.
Yeah, that's true. I want to say good afternoon, also good morning to Mr. Malvern Edwards, who's listening. Keith, a lot of people in the background are listening. You don't see them in the chat room. I'm getting a lot of text. A lot of people are listening in the background, and they really are enjoying the information you're providing. And for listeners, we are recording this session, so you'll be able to get it on Facebook and on YouTube. I made sure this time I have it recorded, and you'll be able to listen back to some of the suggestions, some of the information that's being revealed here today. So Tahiti Titi, if you'd love to call in, 770-715-0224, or for that matter, anyone who's listening would like to call in. Also, the responses have been coming like mud, right? I can't get to reply to some of them on the text.
I can connect to ETT on Skype if you've got your Skype turned on to ETT.
Yeah, well, or they could call in, then they'll be able to hear her or hear Tahiti Titi, just as we heard Sarah before. Anyway, go ahead, Keith, if you want to pick up on any one of those thoughts that just came out over the last couple of minutes.
Yes, when I'm working in the hospital, I see a lot of people in pain, and I despair, because when I go into that ward and I talk to the patients, I don't tell them I'm a hypnotherapist at all. I'm not allowed to. But I talk to them, and within minutes their pain stops. But they've been in there, for I don't know how long, in agony, and the doctors haven't been able to stop their pain. And I'm thinking, why is it that they don't have hypnotherapists coming onto those wards?
One second there. Tahiti says they called 3 times and it went straight to answering. Not sure why, because the line is open just like what we had for. So if you want to try, one thing, somebody has just texted me. Here we go. Here we have a call coming in. Okay, Tahiti, good morning. How you doing?
There you are. Okay, great. Should I turn my sound down in the background here?
Please do, because we're going to get a feedback. You can hear the 3 of us without you listening in the background, so please do. So, folks, yeah, we have a call coming in live from out of Florida. Am I correct?
Yes, correct. Spring Hill, Florida.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
And the name, Tahiti, I love that name there. I'm going to change my name to Tahiti. Wicked name. Love that name.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead. Anything you'd like to inject in the discussion, whether it's a question, comments, whatever. One of the things you were talking about you before you learned about hypnotherapy. Could you expound on that statement?
Oh yes, I mean before I had learned got really deep into hypnotherapy classes, and Keith Anthony Taylor, he did some hypnosis on me so that I could get some sleep. I was in insomniac at the time, and it was fantastic because I was just off. I drifted off, immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I often find that people I think that hypnotherapists just can just go in and just solve all of their problems, and it's not that way at all. And when I was in hypnotherapy classes, time and time again, as I had written in the chat box, the students insisted upon hypnotizing the instructor. However, the instructor, I clearly see that it would be difficult for them as a subject because they are experts knowing what they're about to experience and fully aware of the technique. Mm-hmm. So what was developed that can help anyone who knows about hypnotherapy and really get into it and get involved and get information on it would be self-hypnosis, which is what I practice on myself. No one can really put me to sleep, hardly anymore. It's because I know what they're doing, and subconsciously I know what they're trying to achieve and I know what they're trying to do. But learning self-hypnotism helps me because I can do it on myself and get better results as opposed to having someone come in and doing it. Because when Keith Anthony now tries to hypnotize me and to put me to sleep or whatever he's trying to achieve, it's twice as hard because I'm sitting there concentrating on the technique that he's using and critiquing him as he's going along, which is what tends to happen to the instructor. So it's like impossible, but it just seems silly to even try to hypnotize. And they're top in their field.
Right.
And they're extremely good. I mean, they have their own university section. So, I mean, they are an excellent instructor. So, and I could see that they're great at hypnotizing themselves, but they're not good at being hypnotized by other people.
Let me ask you this, Tahiti. You're home now, and you're working, and you develop a very bad back pain. What's the first thing you would tend to do? Is that something that you say, look, I know I can correct this, he's the pain? Is that something that you jump on right away, get into a quiet space in the home and go through that process to try and heal yourself, hypnotize yourself?
Oh, yes. I mean, and the more that you learn about self-hypnosis, the better you become. You can just go into, you can be in a department store shopping and have that pain. You can immediately go off into a corner or someplace or whatever and work on yourself, and so that no one else knows what you're doing.
Right.
Just close your eyes, go through the self-hypnosis, and bang, the pain is gone because you've done it to yourself. And the more you study it, the better you become at it, and it's miraculous.
Let me ask Keith this question. Keith, you there?
Yes.
Now, you've heard Tahiti. Obviously, you know her and you've worked with her. The question I asked her about back pain, but there are other kinds of pain that are, probably much more troubling and hard to get to. Is it easy to address any pain, or just certain pains that you can go off and do that self-hypnosis to correct that issue?
Well, I can deal with any pain in my body except when it's in my head, because I get a lot of really bad migraines. But you know, if I want to, I can anesthetize any part of my body. I could take a pin and put it through my hand, and no problem. When I have blood tests and things done, I can just look at the point where the needle's going in, and I can just turn it off and not feel it at all. That's no problem. But when it comes to migraines, that's the center where I have to do my thinking, and I just can't handle the migraines. But anywhere else in my body, I have no problem at all. It's just with the migraines, you know, because it's actually in the brain where I'm experiencing the pain. So it's like somebody's really messed up my central processor.
So the question I'm asking then, and let's go back to Tahiti Titi. She's probably not as experienced as you are. So she comes on with a very hard migraine headache. Is it something that she could actually correct herself? You know what I'm saying? Because it sounds as though there's certain types of pain that, boy, no matter what you do, as I said, trying to correct the problem yourself might not be achievable. Is that a fair statement? Go ahead, Tahiti, if you want to. Oh,
yes. Okay. What the hypnotherapist does when he is hypnotizing someone who does not know how to do self-hypnosis is teach the individual through triggers to use the whatever he's giving them as a trigger to stop whatever it is that the pain. I cannot hear Keith Anthony, but Keith Anthony, if you could elaborate on that by using certain techniques to get the individual to be able to, on their own, address the pain.
What you can do is to you set up a trigger. So what you can do, you know, right now, for instance, I feel fine. So what I can do is to I can set up a trigger. So I could, for instance, press my thumb into my forefinger now, and I could sort of meditate on the way I feel now, because I feel fine now. And I could press my thumb into my forefinger, and I could link the way I feel now to the feeling I got in my thumb and forefinger, so that when I'm feeling in the future like I've got a really bad headache, I could press my thumb into my forefinger so I could link back to the good feeling. And what should happen then is that instead of feeling the bad pain in my head, I associate with the good feeling that I've got today. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, so it's associate, always trying to bring forth association with a good thing. You talked about that last week. Anything good that you remembered some time ago, if you have a bad feeling, always try and reflect on that, and it will overshadow that bad feeling, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
And that's what, and I actually do that because that helps me to manage the pain. The pain doesn't actually go, but it helps me to manage the pain.
Wow. Someone, another text is coming in. Keith, because we're running out of time. Somebody just asked a question. How can they make contact with you for a hypnosis session? And if you want to reveal it publicly, or you want to send me email and I can pass it on to the person, or you can, you know.
It's very easy to contact me for hypnosis session, because you can contact me on Skype or by telephone, on my Facebook page. But the way to get all my contact details very easily.
I tell you what, Keith. Maybe the person does not have Skype or Facebook. So if you want to send an email address right here that a person could take down and they'll contact you through email, that might be a better way, because not necessarily everyone has a Skype or a Facebook to link you there. So if you want to pass on an email address.
Well, there is a URL that has all of my contact details.
No, email address. They're not in the chat room. You know, I got the message through to a text on the telephone, so they're not in the chat room. You understand?
Yes.
All right. So if you have an email address, you know, you can just pass it on to them. They'll write it down and they'll send an email. Then you can develop whatever method you want to contact, to communicate.
Yes. Well, the email address is available on this URL.
Yeah, but okay. And I understand that. But I'm saying the person is not in the chat room. They're not seeing any URL at all. So I'm just saying if it's Keith Anthony at gmail.com, that's all I'm asking.
Well, it's Keith Anthony at uniformwhiskeyclub.net.
So please repeat.
Keith Anthony, that's KEITHANTHONY at Uniform Whiskey Club, you know, as in golf club, .net.
Uniformwhiskeyclub.net.
Yes.
Okay. Keith Anthony at uniformwhiskeyclub.net. You can send them an email. Whatever method you'd like to communicate. At that point, if the person has Skype, they'll let you know that. Then you can start.
If you write hypnosis in the subject line, so I know that you're not spam, that would help.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'll just type Rula Brown Network so they'll know.
All that, yes, that would be good too.
Okay. We lost Tahiti Titi, who's on the line.
Okay.
Got dropped off.
If you go to virtualemeeting.com, my email address, my telephone number, my Skype, my Facebook, my LinkedIn is all on that page.
All right. And Keith and Toronto Queen, our co-pilot, just wrote the email address in the chat room. It's Keith.
No, that's not it, Toronto Queen. It was phonetically. It's uwclub.net.
Oh yeah, well yeah, okay. Yeah. That's all you have to say. That's much easier. uwclub.net. All right, so it's Keith Anthony at uwclub.net.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let me thank Tahiti Tita for calling in and providing her input to the discussion. Keith, we have 4 more minutes. It's 11:41. We're going to wrap it up, and it's a British thing. Tahiti said, "Thank you for letting me share Rula." And Keith Anthony, this has been a great show. And Tahiti Titi, you are welcome to tune in anytime. We're on Monday, Tuesdays, Thursday, Friday, 9 a.m. to 12 noon. And on Sunday, on the Culture Sunday Slow Jams, when we have a play of slow jam music and you get a chance to win cash in the Pick Your Brains, where we ask trivia questions, and it's a fun thing on a Sunday, 3 to 7. Keith, we have 3 minutes. We're going to ask you to summarize what you've told us this morning, and what can we look forward to next week, Tuesday? If you know by now, you don't have to tell us.
I always hate this bit where we have to summarize. How do you summarize so much?
Yeah, well, go ahead.
I'd like to thank everybody in the chat box for all these great questions and comments. You've been a wonderful audience as always, and so have you, Rula. We've been talking about so many things, but what I'd like to say is keep it positive. Keep that mind of yours positive, and be careful of outside influence, because outside influence will bring you down. It's like lead weight. Keep your mind always positive. Keep your mind under control, and be careful what you feed your mind on. And if you keep your thoughts positive, you'll always get ahead. And I always recommend read at least one self-help book a month to keep your mind always positive. Is that good advice, do you think, Rula?
I think if you can bring that at the end of all your shows, that'll be good, even if you have to repeat it over and over. That's what we're talking about, because that's some very good data that you provided there for one. Because, keeping positive, people always say Rula Brown at 60-year-old. How the hell you never seem down and you seem so young? I'm always on a positive tip. There's not even 1 ounce of space in the mind about negativity, And I think it's very important to always be positive, man. Yeah, man. And live loving, reach out to your brother and sister and show a lot of love, and you'll be all right, man.
Yes.
Be all right.
And in closing, one thing I would like to say is that we can see and feel and touch our physical body, but I want you to think in terms of that physical body is no more than a projection on a screen. What we really are is pure spirit. We are a spirit body. Imagine that you've got that spirit body, and that's when you get real power. And anytime you get sick, just imagine that spirit body is perfect in every way. It's a blueprint. And get your physical body back in line with that spirit body, and you will heal.
Drink a lot of water.
Drink water.
That's one of your
water is the real healer.
Right. Well, Keith, like I said, we always say we're going to do it for 15 minutes or half an hour. But today, again, not a 1 hour and 15 minutes. And I've recorded the entire session. So we'll have it up on Facebook and on YouTube. So if folks would like to listen back to this, you'll be able to check it out, and you'll get the chance to pick up the various emails, the links that he talked about. So the email address, again, if you'd like to make contact with him, it's Keith Anthony at uwclubber.net. That's KEITH at uwclubber.net. And website is http://
hypnosensei.com.
hypnosensei.com. Well, Keith,
hypnosensei.com.
All right, Keith. Keith, again, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Stay well. I know you weren't too well there today, but I know you'll be okay. All right.
Thank you very much, Rula. Really enjoyed it.
Blessed love. Yes, indeed. And folks, yes, indeed. Keith Anthony live out of Croydon with his Big Input Weekly right here.
Yeah, so that was an interview with hypnotherapist Keith Anthony Taylor. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And stay tuned for the next live, all right? And as usual, Servant David said, manners, love, and elevation. And walk good, yeah?